everybody, how are you doing? My name is Mariam. I am the Senior Access Officer at Lady Margaret Hall, which is a college of the University of Oxford, and I am a former English student, which means that from my own experience of applying, I remember exactly how even just considering the application process at Oxford can feel like you're navigating a bit of a maze, but it really doesn't have to feel like that. And that's why I'm running this webinar today. I am going to give you tips, I'm going to show you where you can access resources, I'm going to give you information which will enable you to make a competitive application to Oxford should you want to. Okay, so let's get started. Let's talk about that application process. This is just a snapshot at the minute, and we will hone into each of these areas and I'll give you more detail as we keep talking. So first things first, if you decide to apply to any university, you will have to make your application through a website called UCAS. Should you decide to put the University of Oxford down as one of your 5 choices, you have a further decision to make. So, do you want to make an open application or do you want to make a first choice college application? I'm just going to hold here and explain exactly what that means, because I personally had no idea what a college was. A college essentially is a home. There are 35 undergraduate colleges that make up the University of Oxford. They're a place where you eat, where you sleep, where you live, where you have access to facilities like the library or a dining hall. They're a place where you will have some of your core teaching, and of course that teaching is determined by the university itself. So the standard, the quality of that teaching across the board, across those colleges, is going to be exactly the same. What makes them different then? It's stuff like size, location, facilities, atmosphere. So for me personally, I knew I wanted to go to a place which was a bit more chill, not as traditional, a bit more informal, relaxed. And Lady Margaret Hall ticked that box for me, and I remember looking it up and it had this really cool pioneering history, and I think still is a pioneering college, and also it was 5 minutes away from the English department where I had to walk to, so you know, win-win for me. I had my priorities right. October the 15th is the date you need to be looking at. This is the date by which you need to submit your UCAS application if you are applying to Oxford. It's important to note that because it's earlier than other universities, which is actually quite nice because it means you can get your application out of the way and then focus on your studies. This is also the date by which you need to register for an admissions test if you're sitting one. Now, I applied for Oxford 2 days before the deadline for a huge number of reasons, one of them being the fact that I didn't think I would fit in and was really worried and actually had nothing to worry about at all. But because I left it so late, I hadn't quite realised I needed to also register for a test, and also left that very late and did it, I think, on the day, and it was really, really stressful and I wouldn't recommend it. So knowing that you have to do that as early as possible, I think will make things go more smoothly. It's a good way of starting. Okay, November the 2nd is when those admissions tests, most of them, will be taking place. November the 10th is when we have our deadline for submitting written work. December the 4th to 16th is when interviews take place, and finally early January is when we send out our decisions to candidates.